List because she's about 3 seconds faster just because of some cutscene dialogue. Alrighty, I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, and go. Alrighty. So basically, this game is if you're a futuristic firefighter. Your goal is to put out fires and rescue people, and to solve some strange events that are going on. But we won't be rescuing more people than we have to because, you know, it just wastes time. There's a long cutscene every time you rescue somebody. And we won't be putting out too much fires. Like, if we're lucky, hardly any at all. And so this game has some very interesting movement. It's very simple. There's only 2 buttons you need. There's a jump button and an attack button that also acts as interacting with objects. You have multiple kinds of jumps, so here we're just going to do a short jump and then we can dash as well. It's like similar to a Mega Man dash, except in all directions. You just like press the direction you want to go and jump at the same time, and you can do a dash. And then here, if you press jump twice real quickly, you can get a lot of height. And this game is known for having a lot of voice acting, which was used within in-house Sega people. You might recognize some of the voices from other games, like especially Sonic Adventure. Here we're going to do another quick double jump to get up here, move over a little bit, and jump over here again. And we're just going to skip over this section.
Keep going straight.
And there's also like little mechanics like ledge grabs, and there's fires that keep you going. Little incidents that happen like that. It's everything scripted. Basically, it has a very arcade feel to it. After you beat the game, you can replay levels, and things will be in slightly different places. There'll be different people to rescue, and the goal is basically just rescue everybody as like towards a percentage counter, and you get like mail from them as well.
Keep going straight. Turn right at that door.
Alright, so we have to just like hit a couple switches here to open this door here. Basically, we hit a switch to open another door and hit that switch to open this door here.
Come back.
And then we'll get into our first scripted rescue person.
Turn to the right.
Basically, there's just some people that we have to rescue because it advances the story in each mission.
The inner shutter opened. Let's go in.
And then we also have different kinds of attacks. So we have like a regular attack like that basically puts out yellow fires in one hit, and then other colors fires in multiple hits. And then you also have a charge shot that will destroy any fire in a single hit, but you won't get any crystals from it. And crystals basically function like rings in Sonic the Hedgehog, where as long as you at least have one, you won't die.
Transport confirmed.
And see here, we just rescued somebody. If there's a mandatory rescue, there will always be there'll be crystals right before them, because you require crystals to rescue people. It takes 5 to 10 crystals. Minimum 5, but it takes up to 10, rather. And if you're like playing for score attack, you get bonus points for how many people you rescue in a single mission.
The power has been shut off here too.
So the power's out here again, so we gotta go hit the switch. And fire is very unique. You can pass through it as long as you're above it. So like you can pass through the fire as long as you're above ground level. If you get hit, you lose all your crystals, similar to Sonic.
Tell us, I found the emergency override switch.
The power has been restored. Now you can move on.
So now we get a little cutscene here. I will be introduced to another character, Reed Phoenix, who is also the original voice of Knuckles in Sonic Adventure 1. And basically it's just telling you what's going on. Basically, this whole place is coming down, and we're trying to shut down everything, but everything's turning back on automatically. And we don't know why yet. But basically, there's like a mutant plant that's taken over the facility, and we gotta take it down. So see, we can just go right through the fire as long as we're above it. And the fastest movement is just chaining these jumps, but sometimes you can get dropped inputs due to the lag of the game.
It's moving into the plant site. Tillis, it's entered sector.
There we go. And fire can also push you upwards. You know, it's just like how fire creates lift in general. They definitely keep that in here. This was considered like a very technically technologically advanced game for the Saturn, because it uses a lot of things that people didn't think that the Saturn could do, like especially doing full 3D, which there are games that did it, but not necessarily to the extent this game did. but also taking advantage of transparencies, which was also believed that the Saturn couldn't do 3D, or couldn't do very well. But like it could do transparencies, but the way it did it made it impractical to do, because it would take over certain layers of sprites.
Hurry, get out of here.
Confirming transport coordinates. Begin transport.
Yes, I am dropping some frames. It seems to stabilize now. All right, so then we just rescued that guy who's like the lead scientist here, and he's basically, ooh, okay, ooh, interesting. Usually that hits me. Okay.
If you destroy the core of the mutated plant, all its roots will wither, and the computer will be restored to normal.
So basically, there's like this whole platforming thing. You have the spiral platforming thing that you have to go up, but we can just jump here and skip it all, and it'll go straight into the boss. And so this boss, basically, he'll do his like spin around thing. We can only hit him when he's facing us. Ooh, that's interesting. And every time we hit him, he spews fire at us, so we have to avoid that. Luckily, there's like a lot of I collect a lot of crystals, so that moves around and just makes it a bit easier. But you can also destroy crystals by hitting them with a charge shot accidentally. There we go. So basically, you just keep bouncing him back and forth. Oop. Okay, so sometimes your auto-targeting doesn't work, and you can get unlucky like that. There we go.
Control valves have been opened. The energy core will shut down.
Everything's okay then.
So yeah, looks like I'm just dropping frames in short bursts, but we seem to be stable right
You know
now.
what I need right now? A hot shower.
Well done, Rangers. Let's leave the rest.
So after every mission, there's like little cutscene. There's also some animated cutscenes, but we have to skip those just for the sake of speed. And then after each mission, you're rated on how well you did. Generally, in a speed run, you'll always get highest ranking for the time it takes for you to finish it, but we'll get bad rankings for everything else since we don't rescue anybody or put out fires. And so basically, this nice thing about this game is it just goes from level to level to level. So it makes it very convenient. Everything's just kind of strung together. And this is probably the longest stage in the game. And it's not particularly difficult, but if you die, it's a big time waste. And so we're going to be introduced to swimming mechanics, which isn't used very often. But basically, if you mash the jump and the attack button, you can swim through water much more quickly.
Yes, the report sent us. It's breaking up.
Chris, the structure
Okay, there we go.
is a bit unusual, isn't it?
Yes, the upper part of the facility is a theme park, and the lower section is a research laboratory to study marine life. So don't get lost, okay?
So now we're just like basically doing some little bit of a puzzle thing here. We got to go in here, go climb through this vent,
You should be able to enter it.
and then we hit another switch, which will open the door that we need to go through. It'll open this door and another door, like that one right there, and allow us to go to where we need to go next.
Turn right.
Okay.
Stay alert until the fire's completely out.
And then we'll here get a little cutscene with a dolphin, which I just call Echo because, you know, Sega.
Don't worry, I'll help
But the
you.
dolphin officially doesn't have a name. But we need to save the dolphin in order to continue. Whoa.
The control room is right above you.
Okay, so I'm gonna get some crystals because dying before the first checkpoint is very bad. So we're almost at the first checkpoint. The first checkpoint's fairly far in, and if we don't, then we have to redo all the cutscenes and stuff that we went through just now.
The shutter has been unlocked.
But
Get going.
as long as we have one, we're good. And if you notice that meter at the top is slowly turning completely red, when it does, there'll be a string of explosions that we'll have to deal with. Generally, they're not bothersome, but sometimes they can pop up in unfortunate
I found
locations.
15 people, and no one seems to be injured.
So, oop,
What happened?
okay.
Report.
No. Nah, I was right before the first checkpoint too. That's disappointing. But I got caught on the wall, so I couldn't get in. So we'll be redoing that section, sadly. And it's like, for the most part, movement's pretty good, but occasionally you can get stuck on something. Which is a shame, but nothing we can do about it. Okay, there we go. So another like quirk with this game is that, ooh, come on. Is that, because I'm running on an upscaler like the FrameMeister, whenever there's a resolution switch, it takes a few moments to reacquire the signal.
Yes, the report sent us says. Careful.
There we go.
Shield is out.
It takes a few moments to reacquire the signal, and game over screens and main menu are all in 40i, while the rest of the game's in 240p. So you know, just dying just wastes a bit more time because of that. Let's see, here we go.
Tillis, there should be an air duct in that room. You
But
should be
as
able
long
to
as we have
enter
one
it.
crystal, it's all good. So again, we'll be going through this section. And, you know,
The shutter is
that's the
open.
only trouble with this level is that the first checkpoint's fairly far away, and this is the only
Turn
stage
right.
that's kind of like that. Because the rest of the stages are fairly generous with the checkpoints.
Tillis, do you see?
There we go. And we get to meet our little dolphin friend again.
Don't worry, I'll help you.
It looks like the water circulation system is stopped.
Okay,
There
there we
must be
go.
a control room in this area. Careful. Your shield is out.
Dang, I'm getting
Control
hit
room is
there.
right above you.
Oh well. Usually I don't get hit there, but too bad just happens to be that way today.
Circulation system reactivated. A shutter has been unlocked. Get going.
Okay, now we go back down here.
You must hurry.
Boy, am I glad you're okay.
Okay, got some
This
crystals,
is big.
we're good.
I found 15 people, and no one seems to be
So it's basically just unfortunate luck of the explosion section happening.
Thanks.
But now we're finally past the first checkpoint. Basically taking an elevator going down. Turns out that there's actually people here that we have to rescue, like a whole class of children or something like that.
Tillis, the director's office is on that floor. We have no available data on the layout.
So this stage has a couple of mini bosses that we'll have to deal with. They're like robots of some
This
sort.
is big. I found some survivors.
There we go.
And some of them are visitors, not maintenance.
This one right here. You can only damage it with
Send them out. Maybe you can get some info.
Your shield
dang.
is breaking up.
There we go. And one more hit. There we go.
Mrs. Reed, I found a kid. This doesn't
So basically the game is, you know, incentivizes exploration. That meter up there doesn't go down if you take out
Check
fires.
the current situation now. Set the coordinates.
So now we're gonna meet the director of the place, and he's gonna give us a key card to allow us to continue.
Do you know what caused the fire?
That earthquake.
But there was no earthquake recorded.
I'll send you out. You can answer questions later. Coordinates set. We got a call from somewhere.
Confirmed. Ready to transport.
So we transport him. He gives us a key card.
Can anybody hear us? This is security at the recreation area. Is anybody there? We have about 200 visitors trapped inside here. We need help.
200? That's not what our reports say.
Chris!
Tillis, head to the monitor room. We need accurate data, fast. Use the ID card to open the hatch.
So now we need to go to the map room to get the map for the people in the comms. But it doesn't really affect us because we don't get a map anyways. There we go. There we
You
go.
need to find the ID card.
Alrighty.
Hurry up. Lives are at stake.
This is Reed. I'm entering the water channel.
This is big. I'm right behind.
Roger.
The water currents are too strong.
So interesting thing about the stage is when you get near a door with a switch, it'll like despawn all the fire that you've seen up to that point for whatever reason. Here's another robot, but we can just ignore it completely.
Watch yourself.
This is Reed.
We just need to go down this hallway, go to the map room, and then hit a switch in there to open the door to the next area. And we're gonna get a nice little touching speech here.
Accessing the facilities database. Chris, get ready for the data download.
The director said that there was a special event today and that more than 200 children were invited. Reed and Big are already there for the rescue.
I'm going there to help too.
You must evacuate. It's too far from your location. We don't have enough time.
Chris, the dolphin was saying something about a monster. This may be the key to saving everyone. I'm gonna find out what he's talking about.
monster. Tillis, what are you talking about?
Chris, we're not gonna save them all.
And of course,
I
she
won't
can
do
speak with
anything.
dolphins for some reason.
I don't want to see another child suffer like I had to. I'm going to save their future. I'm not gonna give up.
But she's the only one. Like, if you play as the other characters show, he has a completely different dialogue.
We found them.
So a mistake some people make when they're first playing through this is don't hit this switch, but you have to hit it in order to continue. And there's a person to rescue, but we can skip that one, thankfully. Although I don't think I've ever like hit it accidentally in a run,
Cover
but
this area. I'll check
I'm
the
sure it
next
does
sector.
happen.
Got it. Be careful. Chris, the water level of this floor is rising fast.
Okay,
I'll move them to the upper
there we
level
go.
first.
Okay. What happened?
The wall is collapsing.
What happened?
Oh,
Report.
okay. Phew.
We can't reach the lower level from here. Let's take it.
Yep, I'm just getting some dropped inputs here.
A
It just
water
happens because of like
purification
how laggy the game can get in points. There we go. So now we're underwater again. This is basically the only level that features it prominently.
Oh,
There's like a
there
section
you
in the
are.
final
Can you
stage
help
that
me
also
out?
has it briefly.
Can you take me to the bottom
But
of this
since
building?
we're actually in an underwater facility, it makes
Wow,
sense here.
This is great.
And now we get to ride the dolphin. And the dolphin's going to take us where we need to go. The dolphins are smart like that, apparently.
Thank you. I'll take care of the rest.
Tillis,
I'm not going back.
the new data analysis indicates an
Okay.
existence of a huge energy main at the
Whoops.
bottom.
Bonk.
Maybe this is what you were talking about.
There we go.
Chris,
So now here the ground's going to fall below us. Nothing we can do about that. It's just part of how things are. Whoa. Crazy.
show.
Tillis, follow me.
Yeah, right. Eat my dust.
I don't think I've gotten hit there before, but, you know,
Safer
first time for
ground.
everything.
Restarting the transporting process now.
Got it. Hang in there.
Tillis, don't rush. We're okay.
And another robot we can
Proceed
skip.
carefully.
There's one more, there's like one more set of 3 robots that we'll have to encounter, but luckily we only have to kill one of them to open the door, but it happens to be the one that's far in the back and can be kind of tricky. But now we're entering another underwater segment, basically where the dolphin's going to be guiding us to where we need to go.
I won't be able to provide accurate navigation data while you're
There
in the
we go.
water, so be careful.
And sometimes being underwater can be a little finicky as well. There we go. But luckily, like, they give you kind of an idea of where to go by using the crystals.
Boy, what are you doing here?
Tillis, what is he saying?
He says there is a monster below. He says it's been the cause of this mess. What? Can you take me there?
So now we're just basically following the dolphin. But there's only one way you can go anyways, because they basically set up the water channels that they push you in certain directions when you go inside.
I'm ready.
So now we're going to go up here, then down,
What exactly is under the lab?
and get caught on there. There we go.
Device was found when the lab was built, but I don't
And then back up, and then we'll enter another cutscene where the dolphin will take us where we need to go next. Alrighty.
Tillis, I don't have the full data of the area you're in now. You must find a way out.
So now we're going to go down here,
Time is running out.
go behind the fire.
Hurry up.
And now there's a door here that sometimes isn't always open, or it's halfway open. There-
Wow.
What the heck is catching me? There we go. I was getting caught on a wall, I guess. Sometimes there's a door there that's not always
Jump into
open,
the water.
and for like no apparent reason. So this is kind of unlucky. We're getting hit with explosions right before we enter the dangerous room.
Okay. Great. Now how am I gonna deal
Okay,
with
there we
the
go.
monster?
So see, there's 3 robots in here, but we only need to kill this one in the back.
Energy readings around you.
Okay, let's turn around. And these ones actually shoot at you, whereas the before... Okay, there we go. So we only need to kill the one that's closest to the back of the wall to open the door. Usually they encourage you to kill all 3, because it's kind of tough just to kill that one. But, you know, after some practice, it's not so bad. But it can get kind of challenging. So now we're entering the second boss of the game, which is like a giant robot fish, I guess.
Chris, come in, Chris. stupid,
and then
right,
just
Bill?
like shooting missiles at you.
So you're the problem child.
What's going on?
So the hitbox for this boss can be kind of wonky.
Ow!
I walked right into that. So you can't fire when you're underwater because your fire button gets replaced with one of your swim buttons. So another mechanic that we take advantage of is that when you're jumping, you build up your charge meter faster. So we take advantage of that just to get faster shots in when we can. It doesn't really take advantage here, but it will be later. Yeah. Come on. Up, up, up. Final hit. Nope. There we go.
Get out of the water.
And now we've taken care of the second boss. And now this crystal appears, which becomes like semi-relevant later, as we'll be fighting it a few more times. Or 2 more times, actually.
Tillis make it?
And so now here we have an unskippable cutscene.
Floating up?
She did it. She destroyed the joint. Everyone's safe.
And this is like the only mission that doesn't have animated cutscenes for whatever reason. So now everybody's like showing everybody's like they've been rescuing people, and we managed to unhook the facility.
Great! Chris? It's okay if I ride on his back for a while, right? Please?
Okay, but only if I can get to ride first.
Alrighty, now we're going into the third mission, which we go into space now, because apparently the signal that caused that earthquake or whatever is happening in the facility came from a space station.
This is part of T-119 Sector RK-404. Crews are working on Firebird. Can you hear me?
Okay, so now we get introduced like a little concept of gravity that happens in a couple spaces. Like when you press the when you boost, you go downwards for whatever reason. So we try not to boost more than we have to. And then we get introduced to these things where if you jump while you're going up them, you'll gain a much higher boost of speed.
You should be able to see a switch on the other side.
So now we go back down here. There we go. And basically we're just going back the way we came, but now this door is
This
open.
is Reed. I found machine parts.
So now we can
Look
go
like
in
they're
here
the process of being dismantled, but I don't see anyone.
and jump to get a bit extra boost of speed so we don't have to do any platforming to hit the switch here. And then we go back the way we came, except we'll go left instead of the way we came, which was right. So here this will open up. If you take damage, you can just completely get out of it immediately. I don't really like doing that, but
A door has
it
been
happens.
activated. Come back.
Because now I need to get crystals. Otherwise I will probably die. So now with the blue fames, you have to hit them multiple times in order to get crystals from them.
Nothing. I will continue to investigate.
There we go.
It has aged quite a bit. Proceed carefully.
There we go. And just getting that little extra boost of jump saves us some platforming. So now we get a little cutscene here. And we get to meet Big Landman,
What? You think you can just come
who's
in here and
telling
tell us
these
what
people
to
the
do?
situation.
We can't stop dismantling just because a small meteorite hit the colony. Just a meteorite. Tillis, leave this one to me and go rescue the workers.
Okay, leave the rescue to me, big guy.
So now we're gonna be entering like a not necessarily a mini boss, but like a guy that's like just blocking the wall of the power path. But you can just damage boost through him, and then just go right through.
How big the door
Let's see, I need to get some crystals. There we go. And there's a guy there to rescue, but we can just dash right over him. Because we don't want to rescue people. Okay, we hit the switch here and it'll open up another door.
Tillis, that area has already been secured. Go in through gate VO3.
Roger.
Show it's
Okay,
dangerous.
then we just go down this way.
No way, people are still out there.
Find another
Alrighty.
route. Remember,
And now we're entering another anti-gravity section. Basically, when you're not pressing anything other than your direction, you float upwards, and if you press your boost your jump button, you'll float downwards. It's kind of strange, but it works.
This is Reed. Found 5 crew members.
Okay,
I
that was
will
kind of weird.
transport them one at a time.
So now we gotta go up here first.
Great
Basically,
work.
we gotta
Tillis, you're in
open
charge
a
of this
door.
area, so make sure you look more carefully.
There we go. Just getting some lag and dropped inputs.
Chris,
It can't be really be helped because like some sections are like just like have a lot of stuff going on,
What are you doing here?
and all we can do is just work through it.
He said he was going to look at the meteorite.
one of the 3 doors is open now.
But like one of the big things is like this game utilizes transparencies a lot, which
Below and to the right of you.
is very
Enter the
intensive on
door.
the Saturn.
Tillis, the dock will be scorched in a short while. The burning ship will break away and we will be waiting at a safe distance ready for transporting.
Okay.
There we go.
Be careful.
Now we hit another switch, open another door, and then we're gonna be rescuing one person in this stage, and it's just kind of like mandatory, and it's not a standard rescue because normally you just beam them away, but because of some magnetic storm that we have to carry them to an escape pod.
You'll be okay.
Who are you?
I'm a burning ranger. I'm here to help you.
Wow, you're a burning ranger, right? You're really a burning ranger.
Yes, and I'll give you an autograph later. Chris, I'll transport him. Set coordinates.
Negative. Magnetic storm is jamming our systems. We can't transport him from here.
Find the escape pod. There should be one nearby.
So now we have to do a pseudo escort mission where we have to carry the kid. During this time, we can't take damage, or we restart this section, this escort section.
Hi, you're a slick one, eh? You remind me of someone.
And you have to go across on this thin platform.
Mission's breaking up. Please hurry and get out of there.
There we go. And you also can't do double jumps.
Tillis, be careful.
There we go.
Be the escape pod. Hurry, get on.
Tillis, there's only room for one person.
So there's like
What
some
are we
tricky
gonna
jumps
do?
you can do there just to go a little bit faster and avoid the fire.
Tillis?
I'll find another escape pod.
So now we get a nice little heart-warming cutscene.
Be brave. He's waiting for you to come back. You don't want him to worry any more than he has to, right?
Tillis, you have to promise me you'll come back and give me your autograph.
I promise.
I'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting till you come back.
What have I gotten myself into? I can't break my promise with him.
Alright, now we're going into the next boss where we fight the crystal again, but this time he has some junk armor he's picked up. So with this boss, it's interesting. You can either have a very quick fight or a very slow fight depending on how your targeting decides to
Same
work.
thing I saw on the lower level.
Basically, you just do charged attacks constantly over and over to remove the armor
Hurry, get out of here.
and try to damage the crystal itself. So I'm just going to be doing jump attacks because you can get faster charging. And he's just going to be constantly pushed back every time we hit him, and he'll be just constantly trying to regather his armor. And luckily we're doing pretty well here. Let's see, so far, there we go. Very quick fight. Sometimes, like I said, targeting won't work properly, and you'll keep knocking more and more armor off until there's only the crystal left. But luckily we got a quick fight there. So now we've been cast off and lost, and we got to find our way back. And in this section, basically we're on our own, and we're being guided by some mysterious
I
voice.
need to get out of here. Watch out! Ah! There's that voice again.
And so we're gonna be in the next, like not in this room, but in the next room, we're gonna be attempting a slight skip if we can. Basically, if you jump just right, you can skip having to hit us. Oof. Nope, I did not jump right. Basically, if you jump just right, you can skip having to hit this switch and go up some platforms. But it's not a tight window, but sometimes you just can get unlucky on your jump height. There we go. There we go. And then we can just go straight here. There's technically a mini boss fight here, but we can just skip it.
Go down.
So like right here, there's like some sort of mini boss thing, but we can just go right through the hole. And now we're going to be entering an underwater section. This is the last underwater section in the run. And the reason I clarify in the run, because I've never actually beaten this game casually. So I don't know like if there's actually another underwater section. So here we go. Now, just basically going through a maze here. Here we go. And then down over here. Oop, went a little too far low. There we go. And mashing, start switching between A and B just to keep going fast. And then now there's almost out of the water. There's just like one more like little pathway here.
Go straight.
And just mash the jump button to go up. And then there's going to be some rocks here that are going to be in our way. Oop, got hit by them.
You're almost there.
Alright, and then we're going to hit this, go right up into the next area. Now we're going to get into a tricky platform section that we're going to be skipping most of. Because basically it expects you to follow this path to get all the way to the top, but we're just going to skip all that.
History if I fall off.
So we're going to go up. Ooh. Sometimes platforming can be very tricky in this game though, because it wasn't really designed for that. And then we're going to go over here, go up here, and then go over here, and basically skip everything. Jump up here. And I'm doing like quick double jumps to gain as much height as I can. That way I can just boost from there. No? Okay. Okay, I can fall too. That works. I don't know where I'm falling though.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, that can kind of happen if your movement's not perfect. There we go, and we're back up. And we're just going to go back the way we were just there. And get pushed up here. Jump up here. So I'm going to go just a little bit slower so I don't fall. And so now we're going to finally destroy that crystal once and for all, but it won't be the end of the run. But this crystal has 0 invincibility frames. The only like thing that can deal anything to us is us falling and to our death. Okay. Yep, just like that. So yeah, that was kind of unlucky. Basically, he was moving moving around on the platforms in ways that I didn't expect. But you know, it's not the first time that's happened. Let's see. There we go. Usually it's just like pretty stable like this, but for whatever reason the platform was just being unstable. Alrighty, now the crystal has been destroyed. You can still die there after the boss has died if you fall off like right as it's dying. So now we're entering the only auto-scroller section in the game, but you can speed it up to a certain extent.
Chris, I'm here. Can you locate me?
Tillis, we'll transport you to our ship immediately.
Tillis, are you alright?
I'm okay.
So we get this little long intro and get some jamming music.
I heard it. We all heard her voice.
I cannot imagine how devastating the damage would be if an
And now we find out that the entire
This is it.
space facility is going to be crashing into the Earth. If you're familiar with Sonic Adventure 2, same thing happens. They probably borrowed inspiration from this story. So your only thing you can do is move around and attack. That's the only thing you can do. We want to hit these boosters whenever possible and avoid obstacles. So like the more boosters we hit, the faster we can go. And if you hit an object, hit fire, you'll lose your speed first, and then after that, if you hit again, you lose your crystals. If you don't have your crystals, you'll die and have to repeat the entire segment, including the intro. Go. And we just want to avoid hitting stuff that we don't want to hit. Let's see. And then there should be... Oh, there we go. One more booster. So, like I said, we just want to hit as many boosters as we can just to speed our way through it. Oof, lost speed. That's fine though, we're right at the end. And that was pretty good. I usually average about 106 to 110 depending on the day. So 106 is really good.
Corridor to the right. Show and read. Use the left one to reach the core.
Roger. Chris, go back outside and wait for us there.
Okay. Good luck to you all.
Same as always.
We can do
Alright, so
it.
now we're going to be entering the last stage, which will have the only skip in the game that we can perform. Basically, normally there's I don't know how long it is, but a semi-lengthy section that you go through with some cutscenes and stuff. But we can just skip all that and go straight to the end of the stage because of just the way it's designed.
Let's go!
Okay, so normally we follow Big over here, but we're just going to go up here. And we don't want to move too far in front of it, because otherwise we'll trigger the cutscene. So we want to turn around here. Oop, don't want to fall. So turn around. There we go. Double jump. And grab onto there, and it'll take us right into the next, right before the final room. So this is a boss here, a mini boss here we can't skip, but he's not difficult. Basically, it's just like some sort of flower thing. We can only hit him when his eyes open, but that's also when he's attacking. Come on. There we go. So we can use like a motion cue. Ooh. After he takes damage, when we can release another shot.
Wow.
That's bad. I need to get some more crystals before I re-engage, because I don't trust myself on this fight. Where are you? There we go. So normally, let's see, come on, open up your eye. Normally this fight goes pretty smoothly, but he's just being mean. So normally after we do this, there's a cutscene that plays here, but because we skipped the previous triggers, we don't get a cutscene, but we still see Big over there. Normally there's a cutscene that shows him coming in.
Now the only thing I need to do is
And
save the
that will
world.
play if you die to that boss, because then like all the triggers will load normally. And now we're going to the second to the last boss. Basically, I guess you could say this boss has two phases. And so now we're gonna get to the root of like this whole thing that's causing all the problems. And it turns out it's this computer core with a very sophisticated defense system. So this boss doesn't have any invincibility frames, but he can erect a barrier. Okay, very nice fight actually. And now we're coming up to the final phase of the boss, which has or final form of the boss, which has 4 different attacks it can do. What we're going to try to do is try to get multiple hits. Normally you can only hit it once per cycle, but if you're quick enough and have some RNG on your side, you can get multiple hits in. So like each time you hit him, he'll switch to the other side and change attacks. After the first hit, you have to kill those things. So you can get up to 3 hits per cycle if you're lucky on timing. Because it all depends on whether the auto-targeting decides to be helpful and whether or not you can get just like the right timing. Okay, so we're coming up on time soon. I believe he has like 3 hits left. And I'll call that when it is.
Wow!
So he will respawn those things after a time. Alrighty, now we're going to the last hit, and time will be called on the when I hit him for the final time. Time. Alrighty, and that was Burning Rangers. It's a great game with a great soundtrack, but you don't really get to hear a lot of it because like it just basically plays in sections.
It looks like the shield
And
is
now we're
gone.
treated to the final cutscene of the
Prepare
game.
for transport now.
Shoot, I can't. There's a huge magnetic storm and I can't synchronize the coordinates.
How can this be?
Chris, take a look at the monitor.
Yes, use Metago.
What?
Reed, there's nothing we can do.
But thank you very much for having me, and this was a lot of fun. And I wish the best of luck to the rest of the runners of the marathon.
Thank you.